Hello there, Grateful Gang. How is everybody today? Welcome to Gratefully Living the Chronic Life. Special episode today. Those of you in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain know that I'm geeking out because I have my new best friend here with me today, Vidyamala Burch. Thank you for being here with us.
It's a real pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
It's great. We're at a special time this week, 4 p.m. rather than our normal 8 p.m. because Vidyamala is in the UK. And we do get, for you international people that watch, and I know there's quite a few, you're in for a treat. You don't have to stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning waiting for the show today. So thank you all for joining us at this special time. I know you're in for a treat. Mindfulness is our topic today, mindfulness for chronic pain. So those of you who are new, let me backtrack a little bit. Those of you who are new, this show I started doing about a year ago. This is episode 34, I think. And we air weekly and we discuss different topics that help us to live our most fulfilling and wholehearted lives with chronic pain, illness, although every week the topics seem to just pertain to everybody. So you don't have to have chronic pain, illness to enjoy our show. So we've actually had different topics every week for those 34. There's so many different ones. We've had some great guests. Mindfulness has been on my list of topics I've been wanting to do pretty much since the beginning. But I didn't want it to be an episode where I didn't have a guest on who knew exactly what they were talking about, because I've definitely had trial and error with mindfulness and meditation myself. And that's where Vidyamala comes in. I discovered Vidyamala. Should I start with that? Yeah. So my story, for those of you that may not know, I've been sick with lupus and fibromyalgia for 20 years. And I hit a rock bottom 8 years ago. I developed a bad alcohol dependency. That was my pain medication. And I was lucky enough to spend a month at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan, Connecticut. They had a program called the Chronic Pain and Recovery Program. It's no longer there, unfortunately, but it was 30 days based on living our best lives with chronic pain and illness. And one of the treatments, if you will, was mindfulness and meditation. We did it every day. It was the single thing that I had such trouble with. And maybe you can tell me why that is, Vidyamala, but I spent the month there. So mindfulness and gratitude, and I started the group. A couple of years ago, I really wanted to get better about my meditation practice. So I started posting daily these breath breaks, we call them, in the group. And they're usually a couple minutes to 10 minutes, different videos I post each day. And I started posting Vidyamala's a lot more because the timing of your meditations was perfect, 10 minutes. And I like that you speak from a place of knowledge about the subject. I could read your bio, but what you want to talk about how you came into mindfulness and meditation?
Okay. Yeah. So it's really interesting to hear your story. Yeah. Amazing. So I was brought up in New Zealand, and I was very sporty, took my body for granted, just, did lots of hill walking. Don't know what you call that in the States. Hiking, maybe that's what you call it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
We call it tramping in New Zealand. So my body was just something I took for granted, and it behaved itself. And then I injured my spine when I was 16, went on to have 2 major surgeries, was left with chronic pain after that. And then when I was 23, I had a car crash. I was a passenger in a car, and I fractured another part of my spine. So by that point, my spine was pretty damaged. And
you were so young.
Yeah, I was so young. Exactly. Yeah, so young. And I didn't really cope at all. I went into sort of ignorant denial, just trying to, the word ignorant is very interesting because it means ignore.
Oh, I never made that connection.
Yes. So I just ignored it and pushed through it and overworked and got more and more sort of cut off from myself. And then when I was 25, I had a physical collapse. And so pushed and pushed and pushed to the point where my body just gave out. And to cut a long story short, I had some treatments that went wrong. I ended up in an intensive care ward.
Oof.
And I had a real dark night of the soul. So I got myself into a terrible kind of conflicted state about how was I going to get through till the morning, because it just felt impossible and intolerable.
That was kind of a rock bottom for you, it sounds
Absolute rock bottom. Yeah. So I had this whole big drama about, I'm going to go crazy. I can't bear this. How will I get through till the morning? And then another voice came in. I've talked about this quite often in different situations, but another voice came in that said, you don't have to get through till the morning. You just have to live this moment, and this one, and this one, and this one. And I always say that my life, this night is the axis upon which my life is turned, because that profoundly changed me. So my experience changed in the moment. I was still obviously in quite a state.
Yeah.
But a lot of that kind of mental torment fell away. And I thought, yes, I can do this. I can live this moment, and this one, and this one. So ever since then, I've been on a kind of quest, I suppose. Well, what does that mean? You know, how can I be fully present to my life? I knew without a doubt that it was true. I knew without any shred of doubt that the key to life is to be fully present. And all these thoughts about the future, they're just thoughts. And all these thoughts about the past, they're just thoughts. The only life that's happening is the one that's happening right now. So how can I learn to come home to the moment again and again and again? That has been my whole quest for the subsequent 45 years. And then, 35 years since I was in hospital. Wow. And then someone in the hospital also did a little meditation practice with me. So I wasn't at all religious, wasn't interested in meditation. I mean, nobody meditated then. It was way back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I just, again, had a very profound experience, that my subjective experience of being this young woman in a hospital bed with a very damaged spine, loads of pain, paralyzed bladder, that my subjective experience changed depending on what I did with my mind. Because in the meditation, the guy invited me to place my awareness on certain things. So I had this direct experience that I had this capacity of awareness within me, and what I did with my awareness affected how I felt. And again, that was completely mind-blowing, because I'd never even thought that I had a mind. You know, you just live your life, don't you? And
but so enlightened for somebody in their early 20s. It really is. I mean, it
was amazing, and it has completely changed my life, because, as I say, I know without a doubt that being here right now, that is the whole point of life, and also that I can train my awareness. And the way I describe it now is to get your mind working with you rather than against you. Mm-hmm. And up till then, this idea that I could have awareness kind of looking at my own thoughts, that was very new and very exciting. Yeah, so that began my journey, and I ended up moving from New Zealand to England about 4 years later, to live in a Buddhist retreat center.
Oh.
So I became a Buddhist because I then really wanted to learn how to meditate. I really wanted to learn how to sort of discover the mystery of human consciousness. I wanted to learn how to be present. I didn't want to go back to my old life of just running away. I knew that was done. So I looked around, tried lots of different things, did yoga, and eventually stumbled upon a Buddhist group and went on a weekend retreat. And I just really liked the people. It was interesting. Yeah. It wasn't the teachings as such then. That was a bit beyond me. But the people I met had a quality of sort of lightheartedness, presence. They were comfortable in their own skin in a way that I'd never witnessed before. And I found it captivating. And
yeah, I'm drawn to people like that. And perhaps that's why I'm drawn to you and your work. But it, you know.
Yeah. And I just thought I really want to. Yeah, I thought I really want to be like that when I grow up. And I knew I was not grown up at this point. So eventually it took me over here, and I lived in this retreat center for 5 years. And so I'm a Buddhist. And then I also teach mindfulness to anybody, because
and you sure do.
Yeah, we've all got minds, and we can all learn to train our minds.
I think for me, one of the things that draws me to you, like I said, is the fact that, one, you live with a chronic condition as well, but I love your work because you always offer different options for people. If you can't sit, if you can't use your sit bone and sit up properly, you can lie down in your bed. It just, you're very, very accessible.
Good.
Which one of the things I love about your work. Let me read a little bit more of your bio, and then we've got a lot of comments. So let me take that. So you were injured, you went to the Buddhist retreat, then you founded Breathworks. What is Breathworks?
So Breathworks is it's now quite a successful international organization where we teach mindfulness and kindness practices to anyone, but in particular people living with long-term health conditions, so chronic pain and chronic illness of any sort. But we also have adapted that to the workplace, to the stresses of the modern world, and so on. So we've now got teachers in 35 countries, got over 500 teachers around the world. And yeah, we again, I try to make it very accessible.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got an online 8-week course that you can do with a mentor, and that's very popular. But there's also a 10-day course. There's a kind of introductory level, again, making it very accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Audio course, you can do that. I've got books that I've written.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I've got Living Well with Pain and Illness right here. This is the one that actually I found after I got out of Silver Hill. This was brand new when I got out of Silver Hill, and I found you and Tony Bernhard. I don't know if you're.
Oh yes.
I found you both at around the same time, and both of you have the mindfulness approach to living with chronic illness, which is everything I had just learned during that month. So I got immersed into the book, and then. But still, I had such a problem with meditation. I think it was in my mind, actually.
So what did you find difficult?
I don't know. Dr. Bruce Singer, who's a friend, and he ran the program. He's been on the show a few times. He would always laugh at me because I was like an overachiever at rehab. I would do all these things because I was so desperate. I really wanted to do anything to get better. I don't know. I guess I just wasn't connecting. He studied under John Kabat-Zinn, who I believe you've worked with as well.
Yes. Yeah.
He taught a lot from the Full Catastrophe Living book, which I've got over there. I'm not really sure, Vidyamala. I'm not really sure, but recently, and I told you this the other day, after making your work a daily practice for me, just 10 minutes a day is what I've been doing. Or Tuesdays, you offer the free Space to Breathe meditations on Zoom, which I've put in the group every week for the past couple weeks, I believe. That's a half an hour. And you had 100 people from all over the world this week. It was pretty amazing.
And again, I've been doing that weekly sit, very like you, in response to the pandemic. So I started it last March. I thought, what can I do? I can't volunteer and drive people places and shop for them, but I can offer a half-hour sit every week, half-hour meditation. And that's been wonderful. I've so enjoyed it. So there's this lovely community that's built. People have been coming back week after week after week for a year. So if anyone's interested, Space to Breathe on a Tuesday, we can put the link in somewhere, can't we?
I actually have the page up somewhere. Let's see if I can actually get it. Hang on.
Along the top there. Oops.
I've got a banner with your addresses on it. So if you go to breathworks-mindfulness.org.uk, and I'll post these throughout the broadcast today. And then your own website, I'm sure, would guide them to all of that, Vidyamala-Burch.com.
Thank you. So just to go back to the Breathworks website, if you go onto the homepage, there's a banner at the top that says Mindfulness for Global Pandemics. And if you click into that, there's lots of free resources, lots of self-care resources for frontline first responders, healthcare workers, and so on. And then on that page, there's also a link to the free meditations. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm astounded at everything that's on there, everything that you offer for people just to help them. You know, I really respect that so much. And anyway, I had started to say it has made the most significant change in my life, just with feeling present and awake. I think you've mentioned awake in your books.
Yeah.
I feel so awake, in control of my emotions, just a sense of, I won't say calm, and there is calm, but just a sense of feeling comfortable in my skin. I guess I would
Good.
say that.
That's
Actually.
wonderful. That's really wonderful. Yeah. And lots of people find meditation difficult. So, you know, it's great that you're sharing that with everybody, because I would imagine a lot of people that are listening were saying, well, me too. I mean, I found it really difficult at first, because what we're being invited to do is to arrive in our own body, our own heart, and our own mind, and be with what's there. And for a lot of us, what's there is uncomfortable,
Right,
unpleasant, difficult, painful. So how, you know, that I'm increasingly thinking of mindfulness as being very, very courageous. You know, people can think of it as relaxation exercise, and it's nice and soft and you feel good, but it's a tremendous act of courage to show up to oneself and to be able to be with what's there without, you know, running away or getting overwhelmed, and finding this kind of sweet spot between denial and overwhelm, and just be present with the flow of life, you know?
That's incredible. I never thought of it like that. See, things like that you share, even during Space to Breathe and all that, you know, it just makes a big, big difference. It helps us with our self-compassion, I believe.
That's right. Well, I think a lot of people think that meditation has having a blank mind. That's one of the misunderstandings. So you sit to meditate, and of course you're just assailed by thoughts. Then you think, well, I'm useless at this. So then you try and suppress your thoughts. So then you get uptight. Then you get tense. I will not think. I will not think. Well, that's unpleasant. But meditation, it's about changing our relationship to our thoughts. The average human being has between 30,000 and 70,000 thoughts a day. Yeah, so it's not like just because you sit for 10 minutes, they're all going to go away.
No, of course
they're going to be there. But what we learn to do is, the language I use is to look at our thoughts rather than from our thoughts. And you can imagine that your awareness capacity is like a clear blue sky, and the thoughts are like clouds passing across the sky.
Oh, I like that analogy a lot.
Whereas normally, of course, we're just completely caught up with the content of our thoughts and swept away. And we believe what our thoughts, and a lot of our thoughts, they're not true. You know, they're just...
No, you're right. They're not facts necessarily, are they?
They're not facts. They just see it as weather, mental events. It's like the mind can be seen as a sense organ. It's like the eye sees things and the mind thinks in a very similar way.
But you had said something during Space to Breathe this week that I had to write down, and I did. I should have been just listening to you, but I loved it so much I had to write it down. It was you mentioned a sweet spot, the sweet spot you can get into when you meditate, and it was, I think I can't read my writing. Relaxed but alert.
Oh yes, relaxed but alert. Yes, that's another sweet spot, and that's it. Again, these things are interesting, and it's important to be curious about your experience when you meditate, rather than getting into, am I doing it right? And be interested in what your actual experience is, and then you're coming closer to being more awake in the present. And obviously we want to relax more, particularly if we've got chronic pain. You know, very often we've got chronic pain, there's a tension that comes around that. So learning how to be softer is very, very important. But then, of course, we can get really sleepy and sort of dull. So then what about being alert, a sort of brightness? But then, of course, that can become a straining. You know, I want to be bright and awake. And so we're kind of getting tense and strained. So what's the sweet spot where one is relaxed and yet alert? Very, very interesting. And so meditation is about being curious about that and practicing, okay, what's it like to really let go? And I love this word yield, to yield the weight of the body up to the chair or the bed or the floor. You know, so it's not collapsing, but yielding. What's it like to yield? And then what's it like to be alert? What's it like to be alert whilst yielding? And you see, that can be a whole meditation practice.
I love that.
So interesting.
It's these ways that you describe it, which just make it feel like, all right, I can do this. I can.
Exactly. And one of the other things, if you're an overachiever, one of the other reasons why you might have disliked meditation is it's called the paradox of meditation. And that's if you want to get from A to B in meditation, you're fully at A. So if you want to get from here to here, do that just by being really fully here. Whereas if one's an overachiever, one's striving to get here.
Yeah, that's me.
And you're not getting there, so you get frustrated and you think, I'm not doing it right. And then because you're doing all this straining, you're not really meditating.
Right.
But if you're just here, you will get there. So another analogy can be you going on a journey, say from New Jersey where you are to New York. So New Jersey's the point A, New York's the point B. And you can spend the entire journey projecting your mind to New York, or you can just be present on the journey and then you'll get to New York. But if you spend the entire journey projecting your mind to New York, then you miss that whole journey. Right. You miss the scenery, you miss the people that you encounter, you miss the sky, you don't look out the window because your mind is just in the future.
It's true. And it's something we work on a lot as a group in Attitude of Gratitude with chronic pain. Trying to live in the moment is something we work on quite a bit because, and I think you said it in one of your books, that all we have is this moment. Exactly,
because it's coming back to living with pain, which is hard. It's hard living with chronic pain or a long-term health condition of any sort. And of course, so that's hard enough. And then with our minds, we think, oh no, I'm going to have it forever. It's going to ruin my life. I'll never work again, yada, yada.
Right.
Or we think, oh no, I've lost all these things from the past. It's terrible. So then we've got the pain, which is in the present, plus all this mental angst that we are kind of doing to ourselves. I don't mean that in the blaming sense. It's just that we're doing that with our minds, and that's cranking up the suffering. But if we can just be present to the pain in this moment, we realize, oh, I ever only experience it one moment at a time. That goes back to my insight in the hospital when I was 25, that the story of pain is a fiction. The only thing is the actual sensations you're feeling in your body right now, full stop. Or you say period, don't you?
Yeah.
that's your pain. And then when you really come into the present and you examine your experience, you realize that this experience you call pain, as if it's a noun or a thing or an enemy or a monster, it's a process. You realize it's not static, but it's a flow of sensations moment by moment. And the sensations are never exactly the same one moment to the next.
Right.
So you unwind that whole narrative of pain and you just live with an experience that's relatively simple. It's still unpleasant. This is important. This isn't some kind of Pollyanna, your pain is all made up. It's not. The actual sensations in your body, they're unpleasant and they're painful. And we need to learn to accept that and acknowledge that and be kindly around that. But all the we call it secondary suffering of all the thoughts about the pain, emotions about the pain, right, the secondary physical tension, that's all something that we are doing to ourselves, and we can learn to release all that.
Yeah, that's a practice in and of itself, isn't it? To learn how to do that. The acceptance part is something that many of us struggle with every day. But I feel, and we talk about this in the group a lot too, that we can't move forward and heal without coming to some place of acceptance. Don't have to like it. We don't
have to like it, and there'll very often be grieving associated with acceptance. It's not passive resignation. It's quite an active process, acceptance, and we need to be really kindly. So anyway, one of the ways I manage my pain is to change my posture every 20 minutes, and my timer's just gone off. So I'm going to stand up now, and I've got a standing desk, so I'm going to stand up. And all the people that are listening, ask yourselves now, would it be good for me to change my position? And if it would, then please do so. Lie down, stand up, stand on your head, do whatever. But just because we're sitting on our computers for an hour does not mean that we need to sit still for an hour. So
Great.
I'm going to just mute myself and stand up.
I'm going to read some comments and questions while we're all adjusting here. Maureen Lovejoy, hi everyone. Hi Aunt Maureen. Karen Goldberg, hi Lauren and Vidyamala. I'm overjoyed to see you both. Hi Karen. Another Karen, hello, hello. Thank you all for being here. I'm glad you're able to join us live at this special time today. Arlene, hello you too. Vidyamala and Lauren, hello Arlene. Linda Edwards, hello. I love you, Vidyamala. Uh-oh, competition for the super fan here. Julia D. Julie Schmerlov, hi. Thank you guys for being here. Wonderful. Jill Cook is here. Gail Turpin's here. Good afternoon, everyone. Susan Klimek.
This is such a great platform. I've never used this before. It's really good. You're getting comments from YouTube and Facebook.
Yes.
And the actual platform. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's called StreamYard. I'm sure you've figured that out by now. But yeah, I like being able to share questions on the screen. It's different from just reading them. This is my niece, Campbell. Hi, Aunt Lauren and Ms. Vidyamala. So excited to hear about mindfulness. She's awesome.
So she's the one that made your lovely little graphics at the beginning.
She and her sisters, yes.
Yeah, well done.
Hi, Seaton. Pamela Creighton. Hi, all. Very happy to have you share your insights with us. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm so behind on these, you guys. Maureen, I find my mind always wandering when meditating after a certain amount of time.
Well, that's completely normal. That's what minds do. Yeah. So the success in the practice is to notice the wandering. Very often people think to succeed is to not wander. And then when your mind wanders, you think, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. So I'd like you to really reframe that. It's completely normal for minds to wander. But then when you notice your mind has wandered, you're aware of that, you can then choose to come back to your present moment experience. And that means you're doing really well in your meditation.
That's great. Great tip. Arlene Hilder, profound thoughts. Thank you. Jill Cook, interested? Yes. Present, mostly. Have I fully yielded? No, but working on it.
Great.
Yes, that paradox. I don't remember. This was about 5 minutes ago. Sorry, Jill.
Moving from A to B.
Yeah, maybe probably was 5 minutes ago. Understanding where we are, then accepting that this might be different tomorrow. I'm a work in progress or a flow of sensation, as you just said.
Yes, that's all you are.
Betty, so insightful. Hello from Facebook user. Thank you for being here. Oh, there's my mom. Dad and I are here.
Oh, fantastic.
Linda Canalichia, stand on your head. LOL, that made me laugh. Did we talk about standing on our head?
I said that. I said, I was encouraging you to change your posture. I said, if you want to stand on your head, go ahead.
Yeah, I want you guys to all put your cameras on and stand on your head. My mom says, very interesting program. So I'm going to stop with the comments there. Vidyamala is going to treat us to, before we move on, I've got so many other things I'd love to ask you, and I'm sure you guys all do as well. She's offered to do a short meditation with us. So I am going to, nope, wrong one. There we go. So whenever you're ready, Vidyamala.
Right, so I'm actually going to stay standing up to do this. And you can choose whatever position you want. You can do it sitting, lying down, or standing. Maybe asking yourself what posture would support relaxation and yet alertness at this moment. Just asking yourself that. And we're going to rest our awareness inside breathing in the body in this meditation practice. And you'll notice I didn't say we focus on breathing or concentrate on breathing. I said rest our awareness inside breathing, inside the body. So it's a restful quality of attention or attending. And we're going to give our body up to the support of gravity. Very often when we've got pain or discomfort in the body, we tense against it. That's completely normal. But it doesn't serve us very well if our pain is long-term. We just end up living with lots of tension. So softening our breathing and yielding into gravity are 2 ways to unwind some of that secondary tension. And if we rest our awareness inside breathing in the body, whilst we're doing that, we're not being carried away by our thoughts. We can't be lost in thinking and in the present moment in the body at exactly the same time. So a very simple way to interrupt the thought train is just to come inside the body. And it may seem a little odd if you've got an uncomfortable body to come into the body, because it might be the last place you want to be. But the fact is you do have a body. So just trying to split off from your body won't serve you in the long run either. And if we can come closer into the body and very gently lean into what we would label pain, we can soften the resistance around that, soften the hard edges, and release into the flow of sensations. Okay, so you can close your eyes if you'd like to, or lower your gaze. It's completely up to you. And beginning to just settle into your position. And let's take a deeper breath in. And on the out breath, let the breath go all the way out and allow the weight to settle, and let the in-breath flow back in its own time. So do that a few more times in your own way. A deeper breath in, and then a quality of releasing and yielding up to gravity with each out breath. And now allowing your breathing to settle. Allowing your breathing to find its own natural rhythm. Being careful not to force or strain or worry about whether your breathing is right or wrong. Just resting our awareness in the body, however breathing is showing up for you. And feeling into the points of contact between the body and the chair or the floor. If we're sitting on a chair, it will be the buttocks. If you're lying down, it will be the back of the body and the back of the head. If you're standing, it'll be the soles of the feet. Of course, if you're sitting, it'll be the soles of the feet as well. And let's see if we can yield into these points of contact with each out breath. So we're coming to rest in each present moment in the body. Seeing if you can allow your awareness to pour down into your legs. So your legs become full of awareness. So we're not looking at our legs from the outside, but we're inhabiting the legs with awareness. If you've got pain or discomfort, just see if you can let go of any habit of contracting against it. Maybe softening it with each in-breath and each out-breath. Coming up to the hips. And then allowing awareness to fill the whole torso. The back of the body and the front of the body and the sides of the body. Can you let the volume of the torso expand in all directions on the in-breath, subside in all directions on the out-breath? Again, being careful not to force or strain. It's the natural breath. this yielding quality. And including the shoulders and the arms and the hands and the fingers in our field of awareness. Having the hands resting in the lap or on the bed, or if we're standing, just hanging at the side of the body. Letting the shoulders fall away from the midline of the body and the arms rest in gravity. Coming up through the neck and into the head and the face. Letting the face be full of awareness, soft. Letting the wind of the breath pour freely through the back of the mouth on the way into the body, the way out of the body. Letting the jaw be soft. And now expanding to be aware of the whole body altogether. Legs, torso, arms, head, face. Whole body being breathed. And seeing if we can very gently and tenderly include any unpleasant sensations in our awareness. So softening the habit of resistance with each in-breath, each out-breath. And feeling into the fluid and changing nature of the experience that we label as pain. It's painful, it's unpleasant, but it's not static. And we just experience it one moment at a time. Maintaining a broad awareness of the whole body, so the pain is just part of our experience. We're not fixating on it, just letting it come and go along with all the other experiences of the present moment. And when we're ready, bringing this meditation to a close, we can open the eyes and move the body. But as we come into movement, notice if you've got any habit of immediately tightening around your breathing and tightening the body, seeing if you can keep this more fluid sense available to your awareness as you begin to move.
Thank you. What a gift. And you guys, that's free. This is something we can do for ourselves whenever we want, and it's free. It really has been completely life-changing for me. How often would you say you should do it? Like, how would somebody get started? Somebody that's never really meditated before. If they'd like to get into it, do you recommend a way to ease into it?
Well, I think these 10-minute practices are good. And it's interesting that that's what's worked for you. Mm-hmm. Little and often is better than trying to do it for a long period and then hating it and then never doing it again.
Yes.
You can even just do it for 1 minute, 3 minutes, sometimes just stopping on the hour, dropping back into the body and back into breathing. That can be helpful. this book that you held up here, this is actually an 8-week program.
Yes, it's got a CD in the back, isn't it?
And it's got a CD in the back, and of course you can get it as downloads these days.
Yeah.
And in that, I suggest that you do 2 10-minute practices a day over the 8 weeks. But I'm increasingly seeing it as training. It's mind training. It's a bit like if you want to get fit, you go to the gym, and the more you put into your exercise program, the fitter you're going to get. And meditation is a bit like that, you know, we can do it as little or as often as we like. But if you do establish a daily practice, then over time you will definitely experience the benefits. And it could just be 10 minutes a day. That's fine. But regularity, I think, is very helpful.
I agree. It has been for me. That was really, really nice. Thank you for doing that. If anybody has any comments or questions, I have a whole list here that I know I won't get to. Is mindfulness and meditation the same thing?
That's a really great question. Yeah, because there's a lot of confusion about that. So mindfulness is the quality of awareness. Yeah. So mindfulness, if you want to, like, what does mindfulness mean at its most simple? It means awareness. So you are aware of yourself, of the world around you, of other people in each present moment. Yeah. So it's awareness. And the behavioral outcome of that is choice. Because if you know what's happening, then you can choose how to respond. But if you're unaware, then you're just caught up in a blind stream of habits. And a lot of our habits aren't very helpful, as I'm sure we all know.
Yes.
Yeah. So mindfulness is the quality, and then meditation is the training. So again, to go back to the fitness and the gym analogy, the fitness is the skill or the quality, and going to the gym is the training. So meditation is the training where we become more mindful.
Wow. I did not know that. That makes perfect sense to me. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this or if you're fully aware, but being mindful and all of that is very much work on in 12-step programs. Where you, when you were describing when you were young and getting injured and you didn't know how you were going to make it through, like make it through the night. There's Chronic Pain Anonymous, which is an organization I adore. There's that one I go to help with the booze problem. But the 12 steps are exactly the same, and it's coming to a place of acceptance and not regretting the past nor wish to shut the door on it, I believe is the saying.
Yes. And they've got that, what's that expression? Accept the things you can't change the things you can change, and have the courage to know the difference.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's exactly what we use in our program. So accept the primary suffering, change the secondary suffering, or the layers that we put on, change that because you can release that, and have the wisdom to know the difference. So our program uses very, very similar principles.
The serenity prayer, that's called, and it works for every situation. It really does.
Yeah.
Because the only thing we have control of is our response to things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
May not be able to control our physical ailments, but we can choose how to respond to it. In Attitude of Gratitude with Chronic Pain, we choose not to share the specifics of our conditions because we think that we're a little different from other chronic pain groups, and other groups where you share specifics and all of that, they're very, very necessary. We need to talk about our issues. So that's not what our group's about. It's really just kind of acknowledging that we are all in pain. What can we do about it now? And we don't talk specifics only because our natural ability, our natural inclination is to compare.
Yes.
You may start to think, oh, I'm not as bad as that one, or, oh gosh, she's not as bad as me. And you don't intend to do it, but you do. So in AOG, as we call the group, we just no talk of all of that. We offer live chats a couple days a week where people can come and vent, share your specifics and all that. But just being on the same playing field, just saying, okay, I have this pain. Now what?
Yes. Good. That makes sense.
Yeah. And that's where the gratitude comes in. I wanted to ask you about, gratitude is similar to mindfulness in the way that it gets easier with practice.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Some days you may not be feeling all that grateful. But if you state your gratitude, write it down in a journal, whatever, it does get easier, and we can rewire our brain a bit.
That's right. Well, one of the steps in our program is, we call it the treasure of pleasure. And again, it's similar to what you're talking about, is to overcome our innate negativity bias. Mm-hmm. That we've evolved as creatures with a very, very strong threat bias, because we need to, we need to be alert to danger. Of course we do. But it means that can become our bias. And then we don't notice pleasant things around us, and we don't enjoy life. And if we've got a lot of pain, that can become very much the dominant thing, completely understandably.
Yeah.
But as you're saying, we offer a training in, and what else is there? So right now, I can look around my room. I've got a lovely painting over there. I can actually notice that, take it in. There's the quality of the light. It's quite pleasant. I've got a Buddha figure up there. That's very beautiful. You take time to notice these things. And as you say, you're rewiring your brain when you do that.
Right.
But interestingly, we do that after the previous week is about compassionate acceptance of the pain. So if you kind of suppress the pain and then just try and think of the happy things, that won't work, because you've still got all this suppression and avoidance. So you need to kind of turn towards the pain, acknowledge it, bring kindness to it, tenderness to it, a lot of care, compassion towards yourself, soften all that resistance, all that kind of aversion, breathe. So you do all that, and then it's like, and what else is there? Oh, look, there's the sunset, there's music, there's the birds, there's beauty. And then you hold both of those dimensions of life, the unpleasant and the pleasant, within a very broad, open, kindly awareness.
Yeah, it gets difficult for some people to envision. Our group is not for everybody. Everybody's in a different place with their journeys. Usually we tend to attract people that have been sick for quite a while and have tried everything. Mm-hmm. But
I think that the thing that if someone had said to me, you should be grateful for your pain, I'd want to hit them.
Oh yes, me too.
So it's not, I'm grateful for my pain, even though I have actually learned a huge amount from my pain. But I would be very careful about saying that. But it's more like, I've got this pain and it sucks and it's hard. And I can learn to really appreciate sort of life in its richness alongside living with the pain.
Yes.
I think is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And oh gosh, so there was something in my head that was right along those lines. It's gone. Maybe it'll come back. It's just a fleeting thought, like a cloud. But there was something in You Are Not Your Pain that I read the other day. It was actually in the forward, I think, quote from the professor at Oxford. Oh, he talked about a quote of Jon Kabat-Zinn's, and he said that Jon Kabat-Zinn he said that no matter what illnesses and injuries you are carrying, while you are still breathing, there's more right with you than wrong with you.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That. Yeah.
So he funded the mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and then you took it, you developed a different program from that, didn't you?
Yes, and there's a few reasons for that. Partly pragmatic, that when I started to develop this work, it was way back in the late 90s. And at that point, you could not train in mindfulness-based stress reduction in the UK. So I would have come over to the States and do an internship at the Massachusetts Medical School. Mm-hmm. And there was no way I could do that. My back was far too bad. And I had money, I hadn't worked for years. So I couldn't do that. But I knew there was something wonderful in applying this mind training approach to living with pain. So then I thought, well, I can't just do that. I can't just do MBSR without being properly trained, because that would be unethical. So therefore I have to come up with something different. And also I'd had my Buddhist practice for decades at this point. And what I'd always been taught is to do one day of mindfulness practice and one day of compassion practice, and alternate the two practices. And that had really worked for me. So then I thought, well, that's what I'll do. I'll come up with a program that is a balance of mindfulness and compassion.
And that's what Breathworks is?
That's what Breathworks is, yeah.
Oops, not that one.
So half the program is mindfulness and half the program is opening the heart and compassion practices.
I've come to learn that self-compassion is just so important.
It's incredibly important, because mindfulness, if we don't understand it correctly, it can be a bit harsh. We're kind of looking in on ourselves, like looking through a microscope and just criticizing everything we see in there. And that's not the intention at all. It's much more this kind of resting back in this flow of kindliness and the breath, and opening to ourselves with understanding that, nobody wants to suffer, nobody wants to have pain. So of course we're going to have all kinds of dysfunctional ways of dealing with it, and being very understanding and accepting of that, and then transforming that. Transforming the heart is also very, very important.
And we're hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
We would like to think that we're not. I've read a lot that says, treat yourself as you would treat your best friend. You would
Exactly.
not, and that can be difficult to do. Why do we think that our standards, for ourselves are any different?
Yeah.
But
and if you've got pain, treat yourself the way you treat a loved one who is hurting.
Right.
Chances are you'd be much nicer to them than you are to yourself. So how can you flip that attitude back to yourself?
Right. In the past 6 years, we just had our 6-year anniversary of the group last week. And I've come to find from the group chats and the people that I've engaged with that many of us identify as empaths, which I find very interesting. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. We had Dr. Judith Orloff on a couple of months ago, who's a self-compassion or empath expert. But maybe they're more open to the idea of gratitude. I'm not really sure, but
or maybe it's more extroverts. People, you're going to get people coming to that kind of group and engaging with Facebook and so on. You're going to get a particular type of person, I guess. Yeah,
I'm not sure. We have many members that never say a word. They just read. So I don't know that they're
good. Yeah. So I don't really have a particular view on that. But
there's a lot. In a couple of weeks, we're having I've been speaking to a filmmaker of a new film called This Might Hurt. And it's a film based on the body-mind connection. There's a really interesting film that I got to screen. So you guys will all get to screen.
The other thing, talking about movies, there's a film called My Year of Living Mindfully.
Really?
Feature-length documentary that I really recommend. It's amazing. And it's an Australian journalist who meditates for a year and puts herself through all kinds of brain scans and saliva testing and DNA and gene testing and all kinds of things. Really, really good. And she talks to lots of the leading scientists. And then I'm one of the case studies in the movie.
Oh, cool.
So it's really worth watching. It's an excellent film.
The Year of Living Mindfully.
Yeah, my Year of Living Mindfully.
My Year of Living Mindfully.
And if you just Google that, she's got a website and you can buy a home copy.
That sounds interesting. I can't believe I haven't come across that yet, but I'm very interested in all of that stuff. What else did I want to ask? Oh, let's go to some more comments. I've been neglecting everybody with their comments. Let's see, Glendall's here. Hi, Glendall. Remember this banner. You guys, I warned Vidyamala as we started that I'm a technological klutz, and we already experienced that. I couldn't hear her, and I'm trying to talk her through audio stuff, and I didn't have my volume up.
I think you're doing very well.
Thank you. It's part of my deal. I'm a klutz. Linda, loved your meditation. Thank you, Linda Edwards. That was fantastic. I felt like your voice was spun gold, and I watched that gold thread flow throughout my body as you spoke. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Beautiful, Arlene. Thank you so much. Her voice is so healing, isn't it? It is. I laugh at the thought of myself doing one. I know my strengths and my weaknesses. My voice is not soothing at all, but you are blessed. Plus, you've got the British accent going. Who doesn't like to meditate to that?
The Americans like the British accent.
Oh yes, we do. It sounds.
Well, mine's a bit of a New Zealand accent, but it's been very anglicized. But yeah, that's interesting because I always think Americans want the American accent.
Oh, I don't think. Well, I don't. I
don't really know.
People enjoy the British accent. It sounds more posh, as you guys would say in the UK.
Posh, very posh.
Speak of the devil, Dr. Bruce Singer. He's the one who started the chronic pain and recovery program.
Oh, great.
Glad you could join us, Bruce.
Hi there.
He's also on the board of trustees of Chronic Pain Anonymous as well. So glad you could join us, Bruce.
Oh, fantastic. Good. Well, thanks for joining us.
Maureen, my year of living mindlessly. This is wonderful of you to share yourself with us. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have time for just a couple more questions. We're actually at the hour, which bums me out, but I want to see if there was anything. Oh, do you have a favorite time of day that you like to encourage people, or does it not matter?
Well, again, I think the main thing is that you do it. Yeah. And be quite permissive. I meditate in the morning. I meditate first thing because it sets me up for the day. I find that very helpful. I also do a body scan every day after lunch. So I just lie down and I do similar to what I led today. I find that really, really helpful because my back gets more painful as the day goes on. So I lie down after lunch and I just do a kind of reset, like a nervous system reset, physical reset, remind myself about gravity. That's really helpful. Some people find it good to meditate in the evening before they go to sleep. They find it a good way to wind down from the day. So I'd suggest that maybe you experiment. People experiment with different times of day and see what works.
Right.
And the main thing is you do it.
Right. The group I posted at around 3:30 p.m. my time, but we have people from all over the world, so it gets to them different. And of course, everything in our group is not required. It's just when I like to do it in the middle of the day, actually.
Yeah, great, good.
I'm working, and I just feel like I need to kind of reboot.
Well, that's similar to me doing my body scan in the middle of the day. It's a reboot. Yeah, a reset.
I was going to ask you about body scans, and I recognize that that's kind of what you just did. And, you were talking about the tips of our fingers, and just Bruce Singer did a lot of body scans with us as well. And do you just find it helpful to kind of recognize the parts of the body as you go along?
Yeah, I think body scan's one of the most helpful meditations if you're living with pain, because very often when we've got pain, there's a lot of tension and pulling away from the pain, and we're trying not to be in the body. And it's just loads and loads of secondary tension. So the body scan it's quite simple. You just guide your awareness through the body. And the way I lead it is very breath-based, because people with pain, what I notice, they have chronic breath holding.
Yes.
So we could just do a very brief little exercise. So if you make a fist with one hand, and what's happened to your breathing?
You know exactly what just happened to my breathing.
Exactly.
It stopped.
It stopped. So now imagine guiding your breathing into the fist. And what does the fist want to do?
Open.
Wants to open. See, that's so simple, isn't it? And that fist there represents any kind of contracted state, physically, mentally, or emotionally. So it might be physical pain, it might be mental tension or emotional distress. And then straight away, you're going to have breath holding. So you've got the difficult experience plus breath holding. So learning how to keep on soothing with the breath and softening the breath is really, really helpful. So the way I lead the body scan, we start in the abdomen usually, and then we move through the rest of the body, keeping the sense of the rhythm of breathing in the whole body. But that's generally a good place to start, I think, if you've got chronic pain, is to start with the body scan.
Is there
any? If you go to SoundCloud, I've got quite a lot of free meditations there as well. Probably find some body scan there.
I have. Now you're going to really know that I'm kind of like a stalker. This is a list of your meditations.
Wow. Okay.
That I get them from YouTube, and those are the dates that I've posted them in the group.
Stalker. Fantastic. Oh, that's great. Good. So if you can find some body scans there.
Yes, body scan into open heart. Yeah, they're just wonderful, and I think the perfect amount of time for us. I'd started them just with short guided things from like the Honest Guys and Jason Stevenson, just like 2 to 3 minutes, just to show people that just breathing deeply, can really help us. But we've evolved into a little bit longer.
That's great. And the other thing is, there's an app called Insight Timer. And I've got quite a lot of free meditations on there as well.
Insight Timer, yes. I'll put all this information in the comments at the end, you guys. Dr. Singer says, I lie down after lunch too and call it a nap.
Good for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I had so much more I wanted to ask you, but I really appreciate your time, your wisdom.
Yeah, it's 10 o'clock at night here now. Sorry.
Yeah, I know it's late. Thank you, Vidyamala, very, very much. This was a thrill. And you're just lovely, and you taught us so much.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And well done for all your work. It's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you.
Really wonderful. Yeah.
Thank
and all
you.
credit to you as well with kicking the alcohol.
Oh, thanks. Almost 8 years. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well done.
Thank
well
you.
Done.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. And for those of you that'll be watching us later, thank you for tuning in. And I will see you next week at our regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's it. See you next week. Bye, gang.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.